Hey guys. So can we talk about how I planned for a hospital birth, but completely changed my mind right before my second trimester and changed the whole plan up and did a home birth as a first-time mom. So let's just start from the beginning. And I'll tell you why I switched from a hospital birth plan to a home birth plan and why maybe you should too, if that's what you're thinking about. All right, let's get into it. I'm Deborah. I'm a wife and mom of 3 and I'm about to be 4 kids now. I want to talk about my first birth experience as a first-time mom and how I went from a hospital plan to a home birth plan. And it was kind of crazy not knowing anything. This was before the pandemic, before everyone was jumping on the home birth trend. Let me just say this, if you're just starting to think about your birth options, I actually created a totally free 3-day mini course called Home Birth 101. It breaks down exactly how to begin exploring home birth. You can grab that below and I'll leave the link in the description. Something I wish I had back then when I was first starting to think about home birth and had no idea where to start. But anyways, let's start talking about why I even decided to think about home birth. So I am one of 3 sisters. I remember the first time I saw my eldest sister give birth in a hospital. I was like 22 years old. I knew about birth. I used to watch birth stuff all the time, but I actually did not know what happened in a hospital setting because I never attended a birth before. And I remember attending her birth and being like, whoa. It was scary in the sense that like she looked completely freaked the out. She had no idea what was going on. She was hyperventilating. She was experiencing the contractions, and she just went to the hospital, honestly, way too early. She went to the hospital. She was just starting to feel some contractions. And I remember I got there and she was taking walks around the hospital and I was walking along with her and she would stop and go through contraction and then just be like, she just looked completely freaked out and had no idea what was going on. And I remember looking at her being like, oh my gosh. And I remember when she went back into the room, after she hadn't progressed much, she started hyperventilating and then they just ended up sedating her. And then it just turned out to be quite a mess. And she was just so scared, had no idea what was going on. Nobody in the hospital was really explaining. They were just doing things. They weren't really explaining. They were like, we're gonna give you this, you're gonna do this. At one point, they just started giving her Pitocin to help move things along. If you're not familiar with birth, Pitocin is kind of like a synthetic oxytocin, something that's gonna really jumpstart your contractions. When you're having regular contractions and then going through actual Pitocin contractions, they're completely different. They're contractions, but on steroids. So you're gonna feel them a lot more. So she was freaking out. The baby wasn't doing good on the Pitocin. He was having heart decels, not doing well while she was having those contractions. And all these nurses running into the room, flipping her over. It was quite the production, quite the circus. And I just remember at 22 years old, sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, is that what happens when you give birth or when you have a baby? Yikes. And I remember that distinct feeling of thinking, I don't want this experience when I'm gonna give birth. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So fast forward 19, pregnancy brain, fast forward 6 years later, when it's my turn, I get pregnant and I go the traditional route. I get an OB. In the doctor's office, they do blood work, they check your urine, they check you, blah, 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 and nothing. You ask questions and they're just like, this is what's gonna happen. This is the policy, this is what happens. And then they just give you paperwork that tells you this is what's gonna happen. Like, I remember talking about, oh, is there options to like use the birth pool? Yeah, sure, you can get in the water, but you have to push on the bed because laying on your back and having your legs up is the optimal position for the doctor to see everything and for you to give birth. It actually gives you more space. And I remember thinking, oh, that doesn't sound right, but you know, they were the doctors, they were the experts. So I was just like, okay. And every time I left my appointment, I really honestly always felt so rushed. Like the appointments were less, like maybe 10, if that, like 5 to 8 minutes, I'm gonna put it at. I'd walk in, do my urine test, The doctor comes in, quickly checks the baby with the Doppler, check my fundal height. Are you taking prenatals? Yes. Are you feeling fine? Yes. All right, see you next week. See you next month, or whatever it was. And I was just like, every point I was like, oh, but they were always in a rush. And I'm like, I don't want to like slow down whatever process they have. It just felt so awkward sometimes. I was just like, okay, is this all? Like, it just didn't make sense. Well, honestly, after those, I think after those experiences, I was right before about 14 weeks. My soul just didn't feel at peace. I just didn't feel at peace. So I just started going down a rabbit hole of looking for a different birth experience. I wanted a different kind of birth. I didn't want to feel scared. And I've been reading all about like women of color, mortality rate in the hospital. So then I was starting to feel like, they're not listening to me now during my appointments, or even like when I ask questions, I just felt like they would give me whatever hospital policy was. Like, you have to do this because of the policy. And it wasn't ever like, oh, this is what research says. It just was like, this is what the policy says and this is what you have to do. And I just wanted something more, and I just started to go down a deep rabbit hole. I started listening to every podcast I could find on home birth. I started listening to the Birth Hour podcast, watched The Business of Being Born. That was completely mind-blowing for me. And I remember my husband was definitely not on board. He was just like, no, this is what weirdos or hippies do. We are going to the hospital. I'm gonna make sure that you're safe and you're okay. And you know, I didn't blame him, because honestly, we don't hear anything good about home birth. So like, I don't know. I mean, I could understand why he was just like, yeah, that's gonna be a no for me, dog. And then I played it for him one night, and he was just like, wow, is that really what happens? And I'm like, yeah, it's a business. And it makes sense why they're always rushing us out, because, you know, the next number, the next person on the conveyor belt needs to be served. And again, I'm not ragging on hospitals or hospital births, because I'm like, honestly, hospitals are there, doctors are here, they're very vital and important people, a part of our society. But I started to believe that honestly, birth wasn't a medical emergency. And doctors exist to address if things are wrong. Yes, I do believe in doctors, medicines, blah, 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 all of those things. But I just started to feel like birth wasn't part of that. It just didn't need to be a part of that. If I had complications, sure, 100% be going to a doctor, but I didn't. I was a first-time mom at 27 years old. I was young, healthy, had no complications, considered very low risk. So I started researching home birth and all the options for that, and just wanting a better birth experience and a better birth outcome for me, honestly, my baby as well, because obviously it's not just my life that's coming into this. I wanted my baby to be happy as well. I didn't give the ending of my sister's birth story, but it did end up in an unplanned C-section, and then the doctor telling her, oh, you would have never been able to push out that baby. Your pelvis is too small. What evidence do they have for that? They just told her that. And I'm not saying that no matter what had happened, she wouldn't have ended up with a C-section. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that I feel like if there was, in a best case scenario, being informed, everyone working alongside each other for the best birth outcome, could a C-section have been avoided? I don't know, we'll never know. We can't go into the past, but that's what I was feeling at the time. And I wanted to make sure that whatever happened, I had the best choices laid out for me, and I made informed decisions based on those choices that were in options that were laid out for me. And if you're anything like me who's super curious, because I literally researched every single darn thing I can get my hand on, read every single book, like, you know, made Gaskin's Guide on Childbirth, Bradley Method, like literally I grabbed everything I can get my hands on. I was reading everything. And if you're just like me, who has so much questions, who's very curious, and that's why I created the Home Birth 101 mini course, because I needed answers, not judgment, honestly. It's free, it's easy, and you can grab the link below in the description just if you want just a little bit more information on home birth. And it's just digestible information that you can just begin wetting your toe into the world of home birth and what it means. But anyways, honestly, what gave me the confidence to switch from like a hospital plan to a home birth plan, I interviewed multiple midwives. And when I interviewed the one that I ended up choosing, I felt like I was talking to a friend. I never felt that with my OB. A majority of the time, you may not even get that OB on the day of your birth. I mean, that's just the way it works, because typically in one practice, there's a multiple different doctors and you'll probably rotate at one point, seeing them, meeting them once, but then you're gonna open your legs and they're gonna see all of you and you don't know them. And then a room full of people who you don't know, who are coming in and out with shift changes, looking between your legs, seeing all of your business, and you don't know them. And one thing that I've always told all of my friends who are first-time moms or who are moms who are having kids, whatever it is, first thing I've always told them is, if you do not feel comfortable with your provider, your labor most likely will stall. It's just natural. Your body's just trying to protect you. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel scared, your body literally will like clam up. It's just a natural body reaction. And what that does is leads to a longer labor, sometimes even more painful. And it's just unfortunate because you hear those stories about women who were like laboring at home and they were just progressing, they were going, they were having contractions, everything was just perfect. They're in their own environment, and then you get to the hospital, they're like, okay, you're 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, centimeters, and then you're there for like 2 to 3 hours, and then they check you again, they're like, you're still a 4. Can we get this going? Can we get this jump started? Can we give you something to get this jump started? We all hear this, and then it can sometimes jumpstart the cascade of medical interventions and all of that, and just, again, it just can lead to a whole bunch of that you don't want. Meeting my midwife and just being like I was just with a friend, I felt so comfortable around her. Every appointment that I had was about an hour, if not more, of us just like talking about everything, not only about my birth decisions, my birth plan, talking about my health, going through everything. And let me just clear this up really quick. When you have a midwife, you're getting the same care that you would get with an OB. Like, my midwife did blood draws in my own house. My midwife would check my baby, check me, get ultrasounds. I literally got all the things. I wasn't neglected. I wasn't doing stupid decisions. Like, me and my baby were monitored all the time and checked and made sure I was healthy, made sure that home birth was always still the correct decision for me at the time. It's literally, I had to do a huge mental shift from like feeling fear of like what I see on TV, like, or if you research home birth online, if this is a terrible birth decision, if you do this, your baby will die or you will die or so whatever. Literally anything you see, anytime you see people doing home birth, everyone's like, oh, that's a terrible, dumb decision. Why would you ever think to do that? But it's not a dumb decision. Anyone who chooses to birth at home always is very intentional about the decision. If there's safety linked to every single decision that you choose when you're choosing to birth at home. Not only do you have like emergency plans in place, but your midwife is not like some idiot. Like, it's someone who's licensed, who's been doing this for years, who knows about physiological birth, who knows the natural birth process, who knows what's normal and what's outside of the realm of normal, and they're not focused on policies that just don't have your best interest in mind. They have your own interest at mind. It's whenever you hear what people talk about, oh, it's like a dumb decision. No, you've come into this decision very, very clear about what you're doing. And so does your midwife. Your midwife knows they know what they're doing. It's not someone who's just like, you just picked up off the road, who's just gonna open their hands and catch your baby. No, it's someone who's there, who's intentionally there who knows what they're doing and who's there with your best intentions in mind. And I think what's the best part is, like, when you give birth, you not only have your midwife there, you can have, I know some hospitals have restrictions about how many people you can have there, but honestly, whether or not you choose to have a party during your labor or you just choose to have you and your partner there, it's such an intimate, sacred moment that, like, it's such a protected space. You don't have people just walking in and out 24/7 and just hearing like those constant like beeping machines, and then like the blood pressure monitors like going every 5 seconds, although like your midwife will check you periodically throughout your labor and stuff like that, but it's not that. It's just a beautiful birth experience, something sacred, not something that you just see on TV where like your water breaks and everyone's just like running around chaotic and husband's throwing you in the car and you're rushing to the hospital, cars just jumping everywhere. It's not that. It's actually quite boring. When you really think about it, labor in home birth is quite boring, quite straightforward, but a beautiful, beautiful experience that you never forget. And you never forget that feeling of being so empowered. Like, wow, I really did that. I'm kind of a badass. And that was it's that feeling and high that you get. And I remember my first home birth experience, after it ended, I was just like, who did that? Was that me? Yeah, I did that. Like, it's a wild, wild experience. And I don't know if I would have ever gotten that in a hospital birth, especially if I wasn't able to freely move around, eat anything I wanted, or like just to feel safe and comfortable in my own environment. I don't know if I would have ever achieved that feeling, because not only was that a powerful birth experience, but I remember feeling after postpartum, it was one of the best postpartum periods I've ever experienced, that I've ever had. Like, honestly, just so smooth. And I realized what an impact your birth has and how you feel like you were treated and supported during your labor and birth, pregnancy, how that impacts your postpartum period. My postpartum period was such a bliss. I recovered so quickly. I remember I didn't tear. I pushed when I felt like it. I pushed intuitively. I didn't have someone screaming, push, 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 all your might, push. No, I pushed how I wanted to push. I pushed gently. My baby came out gently. My baby came out just looking into the world, just a calm, serene experience. And I remember how much that impacted not only my postpartum, but my mothering journey. Just feeling so empowered, so just, wow, I can do this. I'm walking in with a new confidence. I don't feel traumatized. I don't feel just abused. I don't feel like things were just done to me. I was able to just be involved and linked into my own birth and my own birth experience. And what I feel like I gained from going from my hospital birth to my home birth plan was just peace, autonomy over my own body, safety for me, especially as a woman of color. I knew all the statistics of what that could mean for me if I chose to go the hospital route way. And I just gained sacredness over my own birthing journey. I don't think that's anything I could have ever imagined. My birth experience was honestly I would say yes, labor and contractions suck. I will not say that like home birth takes that away. No, it sucks. It hurts. It's not fun. I remember thinking at one point, I want to go to the hospital. This is crazy. But typically anytime you start saying that, you are literally at the end of the journey. You're about to push and you're about to see your baby. But I remember saying that clearly. I remember why I was choosing this birth journey and why this was important for me. And it pushed me through, and some pleading to God as well, because I was like, I cannot do this. It was just raw. It was beautiful. It was quiet, peaceful. After my midwife left, I was in my own bed looking at my new baby and being like, wow, that was birth. And I loved that. And I want other women to know that this is possible as well. And again, I will say that home birth isn't for everyone, and that is okay. Completely okay. So you don't need to be ragging me in the comments saying, oh, this is unsafe, this is stupid, blah, blah, blah. Home birth is not for everyone. And this message isn't for every woman, but it's for a woman who's literally feeling like there must be something else, and there is. You can explore your birth options, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't, or you're stupid, or you're being unwise. Choosing to birth at home is an intentional choice. You don't do that going into it blind or ignorant and not knowing all the risks, but you go into it with your eyes wide open. And if your gut is telling you to explore this path, even if it feels completely new, go and check my 3-day mini course called Home Birth 101. Go check it out. There's no risk. It's free, and listen to what home birth could be for you. And I'll leave the link in the description for you. And it's my free gift to you for you to learn more about home birth, for you to feel informed, for you to feel empowered, whether you choose to birth at home or not. There's no like, you have to do this. This is the only way to give birth, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not one of those people. If you choose that it's not for you, it's too hippie, whatever, it's fine. But at least you know that there's other options in place for you. This isn't about one choice being better than the other. It's about choosing what's best for you. And I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm honestly here just sharing how this birth experience changed my whole life. And I've gone on to have 2 more successful home births, each very different experiences and each beautiful, powerful birth experiences. And I have some of those videos on my YouTube channel that you can actually watch my home birth videos. But if you're on the fence, that's okay too. There's always a place to start to learn and to know what's out there. Again, link to my Home Birth 101 free 3-day course is in the description below. It's 3 short videos, it's totally free. It's packed with the kind of clarity I wish I had when I was planning my first home birth experience. I hope this video blesses your journey. I hope the course helps you immensely. If you've had a home birth, or if you're thinking about having a home birth, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And until then, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.